Live from New York, this is WIUR Radio.
Hello, my name is Jack Schaefer, and I'm with Hunter Questel, and we should talk first about the big news coming out of Giants camp. Jackson Dart will be the new starting quarterback for the New York Giants next week against the Chargers, as they lost to the Chiefs in Week 3, dropping their record to 0-3.
Right, and I think that this was something that was much needed because it hasn't really looked good for the Giants. They should be 2-1 on the season when you actually look at it, but sorry about that. They should actually be 2-1 on the season when you look at how their games went this year, and it's really sad just because they've been playing pretty well. They just can't finish games, and this game, 22-9 against the Chiefs, just Russell Wilson did not look good at all. He went from having 450 yards 2 weeks ago against the Cowboys to throwing the ball out of the end zone on the game on one of the very important drives of the game, like 4 times. So it's like,
It was
what
3
are you,
times?
was it? Like, what are you doing? So I think Jackson Dart is a wake-up call for Russell Wilson because it's either Russell Wilson, your career is over, or Jackson Dart needs some more time to actually develop, and now he's actually getting that time in-game experience to develop. So I think it's a smart move by the Giants. If it doesn't work out, you always have Russell Wilson to fall back on. But I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I think last game very much showed the fact that the Russell Wilson is not a good enough quarterback to stay in this league unless he has literally no cornerbacks going at him. Unless he can throw the ball 20 yards downfield where there's no cornerbacks in sight, then he's not really a good quarterback. Because week 1 and week 3, I feel like are much more showing than week 2 against Dallas, where they had basically no defense at all to speak of. But it is kind of the troubling thing for me about Dart is that it feels like desperation. Because it's not like you don't have another quarterback on this roster. You do have Jameis Winston. It's not as if it's just Wilson, Dart, and that's it. You do have a third quarterback, but I feel like this is a sense of desperation from Dable, who feels like this is going to be his final season if Dart does not show signs of being a good quarterback. Like if they don't go, I say 6-7 through the rest of this year, like end up with 6-10, like kind of go at least somewhat 500 for the rest of the year, then Dable's getting fired because it's just I can see him getting fired during the middle of the season. So it feels this to me right now, especially when you're going against the Chargers and not someone like the Saints in week 5, which is a much easier spot for him to land. Like you're going against a pretty tough team in the Chargers, so it kind of feels like you're tossing him in there to kind of save jobs, not to do it for him.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I definitely see him getting fired midseason. That's definitely something that the Giants will probably consider. I mean, it's tough because, yeah, you would want to put a new quarterback in against the Saints because you don't want to overwhelm them because the Chargers are playing really well. Justin Herbert is this is crazy, but he's having an MVP season right now. And so it's not something that you want to put up a new quarterback that's really never played. All he's ever done is really run the ball in the NFL. So a player that's never played. But again, with Jameis Winston, I think he's not really a great option either because, like, he played for the Browns last year, and I love Jameis Winston. I think he's really funny and a really good guy, and I think he deserves a spot, obviously, in the NFL just because he's a great dude. But football related, I mean, he was playing for the Browns last year, and the Browns sucked. Like, he made the Browns look even worse. And so I don't really know how I would feel about him going and starting with the Giants now because when I look at it, I do still think that Russell Wilson's a better quarterback than Jameis Winston. I think that Dart has the potential of being a better quarterback, so I think that they want to see how that goes. But I do think they're completely rushing him into it.
Well, I do think that Dart has better potential than obviously Jameis Winston, but obviously that's why you draft him late first round, but still in the first round. But I feel like they've seemingly wanted him to develop behind Wilson for at least a little bit, like maybe halfway through the season, add him in, kind of like what happened to Lamar Jackson behind Joe Flacco during his rookie season. But because he was also another, I think it was basically at the end of the first round when he got drafted. So it kind of seemed like that's what they were going, but it feels like, oh, we're 0-3. We've seemed really bad, especially blowing a game against the Cowboys that you easily should have won that game. Like the Chiefs game, yeah, it was bad, but like I don't think anyone was going into that game thinking, oh, they have a shot of winning this game. It was the surprise was mainly the Chiefs were 0-2 to begin with. So yeah, you have. It's not that I think like I hope Dart's going to be very good, but you might damage him by throwing him in right now. At least the good thing is that Andrew Thomas is there. Like he has gotten back into starting. He didn't play the full game on Sunday, but he definitely does seem healthy. He did very good on Sunday, so he'll be getting more snaps next week. And the offensive line has just been seemingly been a bit better than week one. So hopefully, with the Chargers pass rush that's not that great, hopefully that will hold up for him. And you do obviously have weapons. You have Wanda Robinson and Neighbors. So it's not like he has no one to throw to. He obviously has two very talented receivers. So if like this offense could be good, if he shows to be good, it can be pretty good. But it just feels like you're wanting to rush the kid to save your own, not just Dable's job, but like maybe Shane's too. Like they're both maybe on the outs because neither of them have a contract into next year. So
I think that Dable definitely does not have a good look right now, especially let's look at the two players that came out of Giants that got put on other teams because they either got cut or we're going to talk about Saquon and we're going to talk about Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is having an amazing season for the Colts, and I think that's something that surprised everybody. He went to the Vikings last year after he got cut from the Giants, and the Vikings just turned quarterbacks from really bad to really like pretty good. So it's like, where's the issue with the Giants? With Saquon was always a good Giant, but he was not rushing for 2,000 yards in a single season because he couldn't stay healthy. But then again, that's something that you have to put on some of it on the Giants organization just because he couldn't stay healthy, but why is he able to stay healthy elsewhere? Or why is Daniel Jones go from being the laughing stock of New York to leading another team? Like, is it the system? Is it the coaching staff? Or is it really just the player? Like, I think it comes down to a bunch of different things that something's wrong in the Giants organization for these players to always come out of there and look pretty good, especially when it's Daniel Jones.
yeah, I would argue that like Saquon, he was always like that good, but he was never able to show his talent fully because the offensive line was always bad. Obviously, that's an indication that shows bad on the Giants, but like I wouldn't call him like a developmental. Like the problem was not developing him. The problem was getting him a good offensive line so he could run that far. Like he had basically for the run game for the Giants, he basically had a really nice car, but the garage it was in was dilapidated. Now with the Eagles, it's a really nice car in a beautiful garage. So like you have the floor for the Giants was the offensive line was so bad that it didn't really show how great Saquon was. Like it showed he was good, but like not insanely great because he was always running through contact. But yeah, no, Jones is completely. I have no idea what the hell's going on with him.
But then what stops them? What stops Jackson Dart from not developing the exact same way that Daniel Jones did?
Yeah, that is kind of true, which is funny because Dable was at least kind of given credit for developing Josh Allen. So
Yeah.
like it's much different from being a head coach to being a coordinator. It's two very different jobs, but like to be fair, he came in with Jones later, but like I don't really know what's going on with Daniel Jones. That is very bad when you see the player that was pretty bad with you. You had to cut him after giving him a giant contract, and then him playing amazing for his first 3 games this season. It's almost like what happens with the Jets a lot with both Geno Smith and Sam Darnold, both being bad with them and then being
It
able
also
to.
happened with Jamal Adams too. Jamal Adams was I mean, he was up, bro. He was all right, but he didn't really do much for the Jets. I mean, was he a Pro Bowler? He was a Pro Bowler before he came to Seattle. He went to Seattle and he was a Pro Bowler for 3 more years. So I mean, He did. He had a good time with them, but Daniel Jones, I think, was just he was a systematic quarterback where the fact was he was a quarterback that wanted to play with the Giants, but the Giants fans, it's a big market in New York, and everybody knows that. So it's a big market, and Daniel Jones, I think, was just an effect of the fact that if he had one bad pass, he was labeled the worst quarterback of all time and posted all over social media about being terrible. So it's like that cannot help a player's like. I really hope that it goes well with Dart, just because I'm scared that if he's really bad, the Giants fans are just gonna eat him alive. Now I know you're a Giants fan, so this is not a direct tag on you, but it's something that all New York fans do. It's not just football, it's baseball, it's basketball, it's every fan in New York. It's a big market, and there's a lot of expectations when you're playing in New York. So hopefully, I hope Jackson Dart can either shut that out if he doesn't play well this season and look forward to next season and the rest of his career, or he plays well and he doesn't get eaten alive by the market.
Yeah, I feel like when you talk about like those New York struggles of like people not being able to perform in New York like they are in other places, I feel like it's mostly on like the talked about with the Yankees, mainly just because of how high their expectations are every season. But like, yeah, it is pretty true of like the other sports as well. It's like it's bigger to win New York, but it's also bigger to fail in New York. It's very much you have you have two newspapers always fighting for people to get interest and yelling at. You have multiple radio stations talking about you. It's very vicious news cycle in here.
Yep. No, I completely agree. It's really tough when it comes to New York, just because yeah, they're always put. I mean, the Yankees. I think the Yankees and the Mets are a lot worse, just because. Well, the Mets fans have always seen devastation before, so it's not terrible. They're playing well, obviously. So that's a little different. But with the Giants, I think once Eli came in, he kind of set a standard for quarterbacks in New York, and then nobody's lived up to it because Eli was Eli, and he was an amazing quarterback, so he couldn't really live up to that. So it's. I really hope that Jackson Dart does well, and yeah, honestly, I can't really argue with the fact that he got pulled up, besides from the fact that they probably could have done it a week later.
Yeah, just kind of with like obviously you had to get Wilson out of there. That drive in the fourth quarter, the red zone, just completely throwing all three passes out of the end zone and then doing a QB draw on another play is just completely ridiculous. He got intentional grounding on the first throw on first down, then he probably could have gotten it also on third down. So it's yeah, no, he had to get pulled, but like it feels strange that it's going to be Dart. I mean, it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting, obviously. New rookie quarterbacks are always interesting. Like a box, it's a mystery box. You don't know what you're fully going to get until you open it. So the Giants will be opening that box on next Sunday.
Yeah.
It's the Chargers.
Yep. All right. So do you want to make the transition over to baseball?
Yes, but first we have an ad break. So let's hear.
Untouchable, unstoppable.
This is WIUR Sports Radio.
Hi, I'm Robbie Basil, president of WIUR Radio, and I hope you're enjoying today's show. Have you ever wanted to call the biggest games, the biggest moments for the biggest names for Iona Athletics? Then the newly founded WIUR Sports Radio is the place to be. Launched in January of 2025, our goal is to try and get broadcasters here at Iona an opportunity to learn, succeed, and get a chance to be on air. From getting to call the big moments at the hack.
Dinkins trying to go to the rack. Denied. Yafet Mundi.
To seeing the crack of the bat at City Park.
The line drive into left field, around third, and it kicks away. The Gales are going to win it in 10.
We make those moments happen on our brand new WIUR Sports Radio platform on Mixer. If you're interested, feel free to reach out to me via email or to the rest of my e-board to join the club. We are WIUR Sports Radio, the new home of Iona Athletics. Now, back to the show on WIUR, Iona University Radio.
Okay, yes, let's get to the Yankees of it all. They just clinched their postseason spot last night with a win over the Chicago White Sox by a score of 3-2. And I don't know why I said it in 9 because that's how normal games end. I have a walk off by Caballero in the 9th. They finally I wouldn't say a wacky season, but like definitely they have had highs and lows throughout this season. But they got in. They still have a shot at the division.
I was gonna say you guys are only a game back, so it's exciting. They'll win today, and then they go to Baltimore after this to play the Orioles, and then Toronto has the rest of the series against the Red Sox, which is not a good time for them to have while the Yankees are playing the White Sox. And then Toronto heads to Tampa to finish off their season against Tampa. I don't know if it's home or away. But yeah, honestly, the Yankees have a really good shot at the one because they're the 1 seed if they end up winning the division because the Blue Jays are the 1. The Tigers had a historic fall off. They lost the division to the Guardians. The Guardians, yep. The Guardians were on like a 10-game winning streak and they're just on fire. So it's the Yankees, if they're only a game back, I think. They're a game out. So I think it's definitely doable.
Yes, they're a game out, but they're technically 2 back because they do not have the tiebreaker. Toronto has the tiebreaker, so they would need to. The Boston would need to sweep their series with Toronto, and then the Yankees would need to sweep the White Sox for them to be in a division with only 3 games. With them having the lead in the division with only 3 games left. But yeah, no, it feels very weird because during the summer there was just they were playing very bad baseball. It's like nothing. Like Max Fried was going through a slump after having after having an amazing start to the season. He had like the slump, but now he's back again. Just like kind of the whole team. It's like it's how Max Fried has almost performed this season. It's how like the rest of the team has been, which is like a very odd thing. But sometimes there's players that can just get the temperature of the entire team through. Then you had Judge being injured, but now he's obviously back and he's only 1 home run away from 50 and he's still in this MVP race. I don't know if he would be the favorite to win, but he's certainly like that. Him and Cal Raleigh is very much a 1A, 1B this season. Even as a Yankees fan, I wouldn't be mad if Raleigh wins because he is having a historic season.
I think that it wouldn't surprise anybody that he's in the MVP race. And the fact that he's even in the MVP race after missing, I think, like, what was it, like 2 months? Or it was like a month or
No,
two?
it wasn't.
It wasn't that long?
It was like about 15, 20 games.
Yeah, so, I mean, the fact that he missed 15 to 20 games and he's still in the MVP race is crazy. Like, that just shows you how good of a season he's having. But the issue is that we've never really seen a catcher do that before. So it's like and, I mean, obviously, the stats never looked at that, like, at it. Most valuable player, the Yankees do have a lot of superstars on the team. They have 4 players that have hit over 30 homers. Like, the Mariners, I mean, they got good players, but for a catcher to be hitting that many homers is like, that's pretty historic. I wouldn't be upset to see Judge win it. I don't think he will, just because we've never really seen it done like this before. Judge is not surprising anybody by doing this. He does it every year, which is crazy to say. He hits 50 homers every year and even 60 sometimes. Like, Judge is the face of baseball at this point.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I guess because it is like kind of like you were saying, the mundane, how mundane it does feel, just because he has done it throughout these past 4 years since 2022. He's been on this insane tear. Obviously, he didn't win the MVP in 2023 because he was injured for about a month. So like he missed time then, but he's been doing this for like 4 straight years. So it's not as insane, you would say, compared to Raleigh, who's literally doing things I've never seen both a catcher and a switch hitter do in the history of baseball. So it's like it's that new factor of Raleigh having 58 home runs, being like the new guy on the scene, compared to Judge, who's been there for about 3 years, and this would be his 3rd MVP. So like I still think Judge has a very good shot, especially if he does hit 50, because he's at 49 right now. So he can very easily get another home run these next 5 games to get up to 50, which would be the fourth player in the MLB this season to hit 50, and that would be only the 3rd time that's ever happened. And the other 2 times were during the steroid era. So this would be the
So those
first
don't
time.
really count. Yeah.
It'd be the first time when everyone's presumably clean in the first non-steroid era time that 4 players have hit over 50 home runs in a season. And that's obviously Raleigh, Ohtani, and then Schwarber. He would join.
Yeah, Schwarber started off the season terrible, and then all of a sudden, he just started raking as soon as like randomly. Like all of a sudden, I turned on my phone. I was looking at my phone, and I was like, MLB on Instagram, Schwarber posted a Schwarber homer. I'm like, okay, whatever. Tomorrow, the next day, Schwarber homer. I was like, all right. Next day, Schwarber homer. I'm like, all right. What is happening with Schwarber in Philly right now? This is ridiculous. And then it just kept going, and now he's hit over 50 homers. So that's crazy.
It's so funny because this is like he's having like his best season, and he's been in the league for a long time already. So it's like very interesting to see him playing that good when he's already like pretty not late and when he's like later into his career than like the other 3 guys are who are like Judge obviously who's in his prime, so thing about Ohtani, and then like Raleigh is kind of I think this is only like his 3rd or 4th year.
Yeah,
I think
he's like
still
28, I think.
Yeah, he's still on his he's either in arbitration or pre-arbitration, which is and then
Well, Schwarber's on his contract year, which is kind of a big thing for the Phillies because he says he's staying in Philly, and I agree. I think he'll end up staying in Philly just because I don't think they're going to let him walk. But what is with these players and playing so well on their contracts years? It's like, I mean, I guess let them get all the money they can out of these big organizations. But yeah, I mean, Schwarber having this year is historic, but I do think that Judge he's still in the conversation on the AL side. Schwarber is obviously in the conversation on the NL side.
Yeah.
But back to the AL, it's like I think that Judge is definitely still in that conversation. And I think if he does hit 50, that's something that you can definitely look at. It's hard to say because a lot of the time, like Judge is a good outfielder. He's not a fantastic outfielder. I mean, if you're just looking really at batting stats, which is what Judge is really known for, he just has a better batting average. He has pretty much better every stats except for homers and RBIs. So it's tough. It's a tough decision to make just because one is transforming the catcher's position, and then the other one is just being dominant in baseball nonstop for the last 10 years, honestly. So it's like it feels like it's been 10. It has not been 10 years, but it feels like it's been 10 years.
It's almost been 10 years since 2017. So next year will be his he'll finally be able to be eligible for the Hall of Fame. He'll have 10 years of service time next year.
So does that make him Unk status, or he's getting up there now? He's getting up there in age.
It's the crazy. I know the craziest thing is he's the same age as Mike Trout.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, because Mike Trout came up like in his age 20 season. So like he's been in the league for a lot longer, but like they're the same age because Judge came up pretty late and then Trout came up very early in their.
I mean, I was so happy to see Trout hit the 400 mark with his homers. I love Mike Trout. I've never had anything against him just because you know what? He reminds me of Saquon Barkley if Saquon stayed in New York. Like it's just had a couple amazing seasons and then it's just always hurt. I don't know. I've always loved Mike Trout. I've always been a big fan.
I thought it was funny that him and Stan hit his 450th homer, I think the same night as Trout hitting his 400th.
Yep. I saw that. That was pretty funny. And nobody even talked about Stanton, which is the funny part. Everyone was talking about Trout a lot of I mean, I saw the post of Stanton doing it, and I was like, and there was like 60,000 comments on the Trout one, and then there was like 5,000 on the Stanton one. I was like, I love Stanton too. So it's like these people were our childhood when you really think about it. So it's kind of sad that he couldn't just hit it like a night earlier or a night later, and it would have been perfect. But
to be fair, Trout's like a bigger name, as well as 400 being, I think, a better, cooler number than 450. Like getting that new third digit and more interesting than just getting up to another 50 mark.
Yeah, fair enough. Once it's if he hits 500,
yeah,
which he's kind of old now. I don't know if he's hitting 500.
I mean, he's been like pretty consistent, getting at least 20 home runs a year. So if he's at least stays like another 3 years, like I think some team will.
I don't know if he'll be able to. How old is he? 38 now, I think. He's pretty old.
Yeah, he's in his later 30s. He's not that old. I think he's maybe 35.
Oh, okay. So
he is-
yeah, something doable.
Yeah, he is up there, but like he can. I think he can definitely get 500, which is gonna be very interesting. Because what would you do? Because I'm without the 500 home runs, I'm not sure if he's a Hall of Famer, but 500 has been like the mark for a Hall of Famer. So that'd be very interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean,
What
I don't know.
happens with him?
I think he could. I think he will be a Hall of Famer just because of his name when we were kids, and he definitely was a part of a movement in baseball that kind of transformed it back into what it was. Because baseball definitely was down for a little while, like for a little while, just because after the Bonds thing and like it was at an all-time high, and then obviously once it's at an all-time high, it has to drop eventually. So Barry Bonds definitely dropped down baseball a lot, and after Barry Bonds, and then we had a whole new era of young kids. Like obviously Jeter came into it, Jeter changed it, and then I don't know if after Jeter that it keeps transforming the way that it did. I mean, it definitely could have went back to but we had that whole era of young kids that came in and they were so fun to watch. And I don't know. I feel like I feel like he should be a Hall of Famer, whether he hits 500 or not. That's my opinion. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's a Hall of Famer either way. But 500 is definitely something that pushes him over the edge.
Yeah. And then maybe we should go over to the other side of New York baseball. The New York Metropolitans. They have gotten back into the postseason as of right now. If it ended today, they would be the third wild card. But man, they've actually fell out for like a day or two.
Yeah, super sad. I mean, Soto's having a generational year right now, and it's like, what are the Mets doing? Like, you're having a player that's hit 42 homers, and something that he's never done before was hitting 42 homers because he only hit 41 on the Yankees. Not a big difference though. And then this year he's stolen 36 bases, so he's trying to hit the 40-40 club, and the Mets are over here. Oh, can we even make the playoffs? Like, they make me so upset just because they have so much talent, and it's like, what are you guys doing? The pitching staff, it's like you wait for the 3 young kids in the rotation to come around, and then the other 2 are just, "Oh, well, we lost." So, in the wild card race right now, we have the Mets take the 3rd spot. So it's the Cubs are the 1 spot in the wild card, the Padres and the Mets, and then the Diamondbacks and the Reds are only 1 game behind the Mets. So it's kind of tough. I'm not too worried about the Diamondbacks just because the Diamondbacks still have 2 more games against the Dodgers, and then they have 3 more games against the Padres, which is not a fun stretch for them. The Mets have the division record over them, so they split the tiebreaker, and then the next one would be interdivision. So the Mets have that. So if it comes down, I mean, obviously the Mets still have 3 more. It could change. Unlikely. The Mets are 2 games up in the division record, so the Diamondbacks realistically would have to finish above the Mets record wise. But if the Mets lose, really, like, oh well, like they don't make the postseason either way. So having the tiebreaker over them is nice. But the Reds have the tiebreaker over the Mets, which makes it tough. They were tied with, like you said earlier, they were tied. They were 1 game. They were tied, and they got bumped out of the wild card. And then the Pirates. I've never thought I'd be a Pirates fan. The Pirates beat the Reds on a game that I didn't even know the 2 names that were pitching, just because like they were 2 random dudes, and the Mets were playing the Cubs, so it's not a great look. But Skeens goes tonight for the Pirates. That's gonna be a great matchup. It's Skeens versus Hunter Green, so that's an exciting matchup. But the Mets just need to keep beating the Cubs, and then we're head to the Marlins, who are also playing pretty well. But I don't know. I think there's definitely a shot. I think the Mets should make the playoffs, but the Reds are definitely there, and they've been playing really well.
Yeah, I think there's a big difference between should and would make the playoffs because yeah, you are facing the Cubs for the next 2 games. Obviously, you did win game 1 over 9-7 over the Cubs, but not really guaranteed to win the next 2 games. So you got to kind of make sure you win this series and then win your next series to finally be able to get into the postseason. Because if they don't make the postseason, would you think they should make some big changes?
I think that the team itself is playing well. It's just rotation. The rotation is just, it's too spotty. You have Peterson, who used to be your ace, should be your ace, and has like a 15 ERA in his last 5 starts. And then you have Clay Holmes, who pitches pretty well, but he only gives you like 4 innings, which is kind of a side effect of the fact that he's been a reliever his whole career. It's his first year being a starter, so it's like it's whatever. But yeah, and then you have Jonah Tong, who is pretty good. He gives you if he starts every now and then just because he's new. McLean, who in my opinion is one of the best pitchers in the MLB right now, and then Sproat, who is also pitching ridiculously well. So if they don't make the playoffs, they have to make a change to the pitching rotation. They have to add someone. Kodai Senga stopped existing. Sean Manaea is now backing up. He's in the bullpen spot now for Clay Holmes just because they can't get innings out of each other. So it's like they're together. But yeah, I mean, they have 2 more games, but it's nice because the Cubs are, I think they're on like 5-6 game losing streak because they just came from the Reds and they got swept by the Reds. So they're not looking too hot right now. They are struggling, and the Mets have been playing okay. They haven't been playing amazing. They lost the series to the Nationals, but they're playing all right.
I do think it would be interesting if they do make it to the postseason. Do you think they're for the wild card series? Is it the 3 young guys they're going to throw out there, or is it?
It's got to be McLean that pitches. It was Peterson at first in my mind, but now that Peterson sucks, I actually do think that if the Mets manage to wiggle in that 3rd wild card spot, I think they have a shot at winning at least the first division. I don't think they go to Philly after and win, but I know it's crazy to say the Dodgers are playing terrible right now. They are playing terrible baseball. So if they can make that change in the postseason, like they do, but like usually I feel like the Dodgers have that slump in the middle of the season, and at the end of the year they're killing everybody, but they suck right now. So if the Mets can make that move over, and if I were to guess, it'll be McLean game 1, and then Peterson, and then Sproat, if I were to guess. That roster, that lineup honestly gives us a shot because McLean is a beast. Like he's been on fire. That curveball is unhittable. So I don't know. I think if the Mets can get in, I don't think they can beat the Phillies. If they do, that would be a great run back from last year because that was just such a beautiful series. Oh my God, it was great. And so yeah, I think they could definitely do it.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting final week for the MLB regular season for both New York teams. And well, that's all we got from us here. Join us next week as we'll be talking about all the latest New York sports. I'm Jack Schaefer.
I'm Hunter Questel.
And have a great day.